is it gonna be?
What was your concern?
Right there. So, what made this the right way to go? How did you know that this was the right approach?
Well, the reason I was always interested, can you guys hear me okay? Just wanna make sure, okay.
It's not on.
Okay.
Test.
This is on.
Test.
On.
Hello?
No.
Hello?
Switch mics.
What happened? There we go, sorry. Technical difficulties. Since we started with Transformers in 2004 or 5, trying to figure out what we were gonna do and how to create a live action movie, we were always intrigued as we did our research into the origin story of Optimus and Megatron. And what was so compelling about it is every time we tried to think about a sequel, that story would come back. And it was really interesting, so it was always gonna be too expensive to do live action, so every time we thought about it, we were like, well, that's a $500 million movie, so we're not getting the money for that. And the reason it was sort of earth-shattering when you think of Megatron as the villain, and then you suddenly understand the emotional context of what happened to these two guys who really believed in and on some level still believe in the same thing. It's just they don't believe, one believes in might makes right essentially, and the other believes more in the democratic process, which doesn't sound anything like Donald Trump and Kamala. So, and so it felt relevant to today. And we had been trying to convince Hasbro and Paramount to do an animated movie for a very long time because of the great juxtaposition of the time that we're in right now is what helped us to get it made. And the hardest decision, frankly, was trying to find the right director for it who could balance the DNA of who these characters are and what this world is represented. And yet at the same time, Megatron becomes a bad guy. Now you may sympathize with the bad guy, but he's the bad guy. And so we needed somebody who has an understanding of heart in the way Josh does. And also is a fanatical fan, which is always a great thing because he could. So when we first met, after he read our script, it was like, this is what this script's about. We're like, you're hired. It was one of the most easy decisions I've ever made as either an executive or a producer, because the filmmaker understood the intent of what we were going after.